The scanner announced that train Q251 was northbound at the North Switch Dade City Siding, so I turned down the dirt road I knew would take me to the tracks. When I pulled up to Luchi Siding, another train was already there, K723, loaded rock hoppers from Mulberry, Florida, pulling to a stop on the main line. But why was he on the main and not in the siding for the meet? I knew that the northbound Q251 was not far away, and in about 90 seconds, the reason became clear.
5115 CSX engine 7711 north. Need him approach south in the Luchi main into the side. Single lane.
Rather than putting the very heavy K723 rock train through turnouts in the siding, the dispatcher made the decision to run the lighter, shorter, empty auto-rack train into the siding and around 723. When Q251 passed, I noticed the normally dark dwarf signal guarding the south end of the siding was lit. I'm guessing from the setup of the two reds that this array is actually two signal units or heads. The top one has 2 lights and the bottom one has 3 lights. I'm clearly going to have to spend some more time here to see how this signal operates. Over on the mainline signal, the aspect is easy. Clear to proceed. As K723 gets moving to the south, note the A, C, and B marks on the cars. Those delineate the 3 hopper doors. C is always in the middle because of the A-B nomenclature of rail cars. The B end is nearly always the one with the handbrake. Note also that low roaring sound. That's the wheels rolling over newly grinded rail. The sound will only last a few days as trains gradually smash the grinding marks flat. It was 54 miles north before anything else happened. When I pulled up to the 8th Avenue signal in Ocala, it's displaying an approach. The yellow on the top gives the indication to be prepared to stop at the next signal. The 2 reds below have no meaning in this aspect. The switch can often help us understand what's going to happen at a particular location. Here at 8th Avenue in Ocala, the crossovers are 45-mile-an-hour turnouts. They are heftier than standard mainline switches and quite a bit longer, hence the need for the rods that extend the switch machine's reach up the track, so it has multiple points to push and pull this long piece of iron. In our case today, the switch isn't telling us anything because it's lined for straight movement, normal in the railroad terminology. In a few minutes, here comes our second 251 of the day, L251, loaded auto racks from Waycross, Georgia. If I didn't know better, I could mistake this 251 for the earlier 251 we saw at Luchi. 2 -8s pulling a short rack train.
CSX engine 7711 north, 8th Avenue, track number 2, northbound out.
10 minutes passed, and here came our first 251 that we saw earlier. But he was longer than before, having picked up some covered hoppers and wildwood. I got around the northbound 251 again, and it was another 84 miles before I hit anything else. At Yellow Water Road in Baldwin, Florida, are the East Baldwin crossovers. On the other side of the road waits a northbound coal train, N01311. This is the Jacksonville to Chattahoochee, Maine of the Seaboard Airline, known as the Tallahassee Line for decades. Now some are calling it the SP Line. Some miles between here and Jacksonville is the Duval Intermodal Ramp. One of the daily trains out of Duval is Q177, Jax to Winter Haven nightly container traffic. He's traveling south on the number 2 track to gain access to the Wildwood, Maine, the S-Line to Ocala and Owensboro, and then on to Vitus, Lakeland, and Winter Haven. After that, I started getting lots of chatter on the radio, which is normal as you get close to Jacksonville. The first thing I saw here was at Ellis Road, south end Carnegie Siding. Another coal train. This was southbound NO1309.
60 NO13 got an approach South Carnegie southbound, engine 3105 up.
The yellow over red is another approach, and again, only the top signal has any meaning if there are only reds below it. He's getting that because the other coal train, northbound NO1311, is on the main ahead, but turning into Duval Connection a couple of miles down the line. When he clears the main line, the signal improves. By the sound of those wheels on the rails, the rail grinder had apparently been here too. This monster was interesting in that it had DPU engines in the middle, distributed power units. That's why I waited in the rain. But it was coming down harder now, and even though QO45's power was coming up on the coal train's markers, I couldn't wait. But it wasn't too bad a catch for a Saturday, and 200 miles of driving that would be 400 by the day's end. So thanks for riding along with me on this little Jacksonville and back railfan outing. At the south end of Carnegie Siding, milepost SP 638.6, this is Danny Harmon, out.